Beautiful Abundance Club community. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the podcast. I want to share the energy of this week. Wow, it's a big one. We've just come through the full moon in Sagittarius. How have you found it? I was last night on my balcony. I shared this actually on my Instagram, a photo overlooking the ocean, which I've probably shared with you guys before, is probably one of my most exciting, impressive physical manifestations. If we disregard, of course, having children and birthing my twins and, all of those gorgeous things. But if we're just looking at the actual, not to say that my children aren't physical, but like this 3D reality that I feel like I had a really conscious part of manifesting as my beautiful home that I've spoken about before. And one of the things that I hadn't expected, I hadn't predicted, but of course, in our manifestations, we want to leave room for the divine to weave its magic and make ourselves available for that which is even better than what we could conceive. And one of those was my ocean views. But not only that, the fact that the moon here in Queensland, where I am, rises up over the ocean because I'm on the east coast. And by gosh, seeing it, I often find that a couple of nights after the full moon is when it's the most magical, like visually. And the moonlight was shining on the ocean and reflecting the most beautiful glow. And it's truly phenomenal. I think if we're ever in a position where we are forgetting the magic of life and how the cycles are here, yes, challenging us, of course. We go through our cycles, we go through the growth edges and all of that, but how much magic there is available to us in the universe and how the moon still rises every night, every day, every month. It still goes through its cycles, even if we can't always see it. It is there. The sun rises every day, and we, like it or not, like we are moving through the cycles. And big part of the work that I do is encouraging our own conscious participation in that, in creation. I've spoken about this so much here on the podcast. We are so powerful in our capacity and our ability to create alongside the divine that which our soul has already chosen to experience. And I want to, in this episode, talk about what becomes available to us when we shift our identity. Again, this isn't anything new. If you have been listening to my podcast for a while, we create our reality through our identity in large part. And why is it that it feels like this particular calling of this time is to remember that? And not to remember that just as a concept, just as an idea, just as a nice intellectual framework, but actually how do we start to live and breathe and embody that? Because it's that embodiment that is 3D printing our reality. I shared something today. It was a reel actually for Instagram, for Facebook, and it said, we're either reinforcing our current reality or we are creating a new one. We are doing one of the two all the time, whether we are aware of it or not. And often we're not aware of it, right? We're unconsciously participating and co-creating and manifesting our reality. Now, I think the thing that's really important to come back to in this conversation is that it's not all of this is by action alone. We have been conditioned to believe that it is the action that matter creates matter. It's that kind of Newtonian physics model that matter creates matter. And you go and you do this and you're going to create certain outcomes. Yes, that's true to a certain extent. But the focus has been so heavily on that kind of masculine model of reality, which doesn't suit all of us and will only suit you, will only bring you certain level of outcomes because you're operating within the realm of logic and probability. Now, you would know that this podcast and the work that I do, we are going bigger than that. We are operating in the realm, not of probability, but of infinite possibility. What becomes available when you choose to align with the limitless version of you? I want to talk a little bit more about that today, and how in particular that you, let's call it the limitless version of you, your soul aligned self, your future self, it really doesn't matter, but how that version of you is not something that you need to go out and create and or chase or make happen. Or, I think, when I first started understanding about what timelines were, I always thought it was like this destination that we needed to go and get to. Same with this future self, like a future self that we need to go and try and meet and embody. Far from it. And so, coming back to, and this is what I want to dive into in this episode, when we look at the emphasis that life places on our action, we can see the way that this manifests even just in our own daily lives, the focus that we have, whether we are working or whether we are running a household, we're operating as a mother or father, or like we all have those endless to-do lists that we are so conditioned to need to, want to, feel like we have to tick off, right? But as I said, not all of this action is what is creating our reality. So instead of the to-do list, and I've stolen this from someone because I heard this spoken about and I love it. What about having a to-be list? Because who you are being, the identity behind the action, which is, right? The identity behind the action is, how are you being? How are you feeling? Who are you identifying with is more important than the action itself. Why? Because spiritually speaking and energetically speaking, the language of creation is our frequency. Our frequency is our currency, because life mirrors not what you're doing, right? What you're doing is not felt in the way. Yes, it will play into a certain model of reality to get you a certain outcome, but we're going bigger. We are having bigger dreams that are ready to be birthed through us. If you are listening to this podcast, I can assure you, you are here for more. Something has called you to it, right? The future version of you, your soul self, has put this in front of you. It is no accident that you are here listening to this. So the language of creation that is felt more so than your action is your presence, is your frequency, because life mirrors the state of consciousness from which we create, because everything is energy, everything is frequency. So we experience this like you would have an experience of this of yourself when you're just feeling good, when you're not attached to a particular outcome. You might have felt or actually experienced a shift in your external world. I know for me, the moments when I have let go in life, like when I've just decided to feel into my energy and choose to do something else. Like maybe I've switched off. Maybe I've switched off from business. I've decided instead to go to the beach or to go for a run or just to take a day off. Or I've just felt good or I've taken a vacation. All of those things that we know naturally, one, disconnects you from the attachment that you might have to a certain outcome. Right? It's like that a watched pot never boils, right? When we are sitting there watching, waiting, expecting, we're hooked in, we're attached to a particular outcome. More importantly, we're elevating our frequency. Why? Because we're feeling good. When I have done those things, when I have chosen that instead of just trying to grind and push against the flow, is when I have seen the most growth in my business, when I've seen clients show up and transact spontaneously, when I am in that place of non-attachment, when I'm allowing myself to feel good. I wonder if you've had that experience of yourself, it's that vacation energy. It's that taking a trip, shifting your energy creates a different result, right? And frequency can become this really abstract concept, and I often get asked about this from people. And I know it's something that many people can struggle with because we try to, as we do with humans, intellectualize it rather than embody it, right? It stays abstract unless we're able to embody it. What does that mean? How are you letting yourself feel when you are taking action? What are you making yourself available via your energetic state, via how you are feeling? You guys are going to love in a couple of weeks when I bring in Jack onto the podcast. I interviewed him the other day, and if you're listening to this episode and it's out, go ahead to that one, but it's coming in the future in a couple of weeks. And the reason that I was attracted to Jack was because, what was his surname? Dolina? I think it's Dolina. I know it has like dollar in it, which was really cool because he teaches like abundance and manifestation like me. I was attracted to his energy because he would talk about feel good frequency, right? Feel good now, letting yourself feel good now. And interestingly, a lot of what is broadcasted in the world at the moment through the news, even through different sound frequencies that we hear in music, is designed to lower our frequency, either through the sound waves or projecting out a fear narrative that brings down our frequency. All right, so I just wanted to pop that in there because this is really important in this conversation. So when we talk about identity, the thing that I want to come back to here is that you are not creating that identity. I know it can seem like that. You are not manufacturing an identity. Just like the future you doesn't exist out there in the future. She's not someone that you need to find or chase or create. She's already here. And I want to tell you a little story or a little metaphor that will help to articulate this hopefully a little better. But she's already within you. She's already encoded within you. You have everything you need right now to live out a certain reality, to manifest the desires that are here for you. But perhaps you just haven't quite learned how to embody, how to bring to life that version of you. But I can assure you, she or he is already here in your field. It can feel sometimes like there's a future that's pulling us forward, but that model of understanding is based on time being linear rather than all potentials, all possibilities existing right now, existing simultaneously, being made available to us. It's a little bit trippy. It's a bit to get our head around. We're not actually meant to get our head around it. But on a soul level, on a deep level, we know this to be true because we've lived those realities before. We are coexisting right now. If we think that this is just us here, our small self, our body with a soul inside it, and that's it. And then when we die, the soul goes, like, we are existing not just here in this reality. So our soul, our higher self, knows, it holds the map. It knows your highest timeline. It knows the potential that's available to you. That's why it's giving you nudges. It's giving you clues. It's directing you to a podcast or to a book or to have a conversation with someone. Like, it's really important that we open our eyes and see the way that we are being guided and directed by that aspect of us that is eternal, that is expansive, that is source, that's connected to all that it is. So we select the potential, the reality that we observe. It's known in quantum physics as the observer effect. You can look it up if you're scientific and you want to have more of a scientific understanding of this. But it's basically the reality comes into form when we place our attention on it and when we become a vibratory match for it. Meaning you shift which version of you is organizing your reality by what you choose, by who you choose to be, by the identity that you choose to embody now. That casts out a certain energetic frequency, a certain signal that your life responds to, that magnetizes to it like energy, that which is a match. So, this present moment right now, in any given present moment, because all that exists is the present moment, contains multiple potential identity states, and you are always, either consciously or unconsciously, selecting it through your embodiment. Now, the work here, my friends, is to become conscious about what it is. Like, imagine if you could bring your consciousness into what it is that you are selecting or who you are choosing to be. And my teaching, my advice is always the one that is most connected to your soul, where your soul, that infinite aspect of you, that limitless aspect of you, informs your identity. Then you are aligning with your highest timeline, your highest and best, most optimal timeline. While there are multiple realities available to you, multiple timelines, there is one that is here, that is your highest and best, where you are most tapped into your potential, where you are most aligned with your soul, where you are living out the reality that your soul chose to come and experience. Your embodiment is what determines what reality or what timeline becomes stable over time. So there is this future version of ourself, a future version of you that's available to you right now. She's here. He's here. She's within you. You get to access her. You get to ask yourself the question, who is she? She is the highest version of you. If that can seem too hierarchy, she is the truest version of you. She is the most authentic you. She is the you when you are fully tapped into your potential, fully trusting in life to support you, feeling good. And the thing is that we can tap into that, and we'll have moments when we'll tap into that. And then we'll have those moments where we get pulled back by our conditioning into the doubt, the worry, the fear, the separation. All of those states are actually the illusion. It's really funny when people in manifestation say, be delusional. And I agree, right? Be delusional. We have a negative connotation with that, right? We're saying, oh, that person's delusional. Like, they're crazy. They're not in reality. Exactly. They are beyond the illusions of the current reality, beyond the conditioning of the current reality. So sometimes you need to be a little de-illusioned in order to actualize your infinite potential. I was talking with my husband today about caterpillars. We're just talking about life and the things that we go through. And I often use the story of the caterpillar going through its metamorphosis as a metaphor for transformation, for the most epic transformation. And I love butterflies. And I actually have a butterfly tattoo on my ankle that I got one night when I was out on a date, as you do when you are 21. And the guy that I was seeing at the time, I'm not even sure why I'm telling you this story, but it's coming out. Maybe it's just for a little bit of a laugh. But he and I decided, we were having dinner in a restaurant, and across the road was a tattoo parlor. And we've been speaking a bit because we just started seeing each other. We didn't see each other after this night, and you'll understand why. We decided that we were going to get a tattoo. We are each going to get a tattoo. It wasn't going to be anything like where we get like half the love heart or anything like that, but we were going to get a tattoo. And I knew that I always wanted a butterfly. And so we thought, look, it'll be fun. Let's go and do it, as you do, spontaneous. Let's go across and get a tattoo. So we did. And I went first. And I got this beautiful butterfly. It seemed beautiful at the time. I got this butterfly tattoo on my ankle. And then when it came to his turn to do it, he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I want to get it anymore." And I was like, "Yeah, see you later." That was it. That was the end of that relationship. To be fair, we weren't really dating. We just, been on a few dates. But anyway, for some reason, I felt to share that story. Maybe you got a little bit of laugh from it. But back to the caterpillar. Basically, that was just sharing how much I love butterflies because I have one tattooed. And, butterfly represents transformation, of course. Anyway, my husband and I were talking about not that story, but the story of the caterpillar today. And he was sharing a little bit more, about like in depth what actually happens when the caterpillar is going through experiencing this metamorphosis, which is quite traumatic. Like we would consider that trauma, right? It actually kind of dissolves itself. Right. But in the lead up, what's interesting is a few things. The caterpillar, as a caterpillar, its organs in that moment are designed for eating. It's like the very hungry caterpillar book. It goes around and it eats this and it eats its way around to get really plump and fat because it knows it's going to go through transformation. So its organs are designed for eating, not flying. And then it has this programmed, once it goes into its little cocoon, its safe haven. Let's think of the cocoon as like this safe container that it's in. It goes through this programmed cell death. And it literally, this is the disgusting part of it, it literally starts to digest parts of itself internally. So I want you to think about, when I'm sharing this, about this process that we go through of our own embodiment, our own transformation, our own manifestation as we're being prepared for it. This is the ego death, my friends. And then this other part of it is that there's these imaginal discs. They're called imaginal discs that begin to grow. And I looked into what are these imaginal discs, and they're actually specialized clusters of cells that then, so there's one for like the wing that's going to come, and one for different parts of the butterfly's body. So it's basically the blueprint for the next identity, for the evolved identity of the caterpillar, which is the adult butterfly. What does this tell us? That future identity already exists within the caterpillar. The blueprint of that is already encoded within it. The future version of the caterpillar already exists in seed form. So there is a pre-existing, and I thought that was so cool. And it's such a potent reminder, my friends, like there is a pre-existing version of your next identity already embedded in your current identity. How do you get to know him or her? And just because that's so doesn't mean, and this is the same with caterpillar, not every caterpillar is going to end up turning into a butterfly. And I don't know the scientifics around that. I don't know why some caterpillars won't. But I know for humans, not all of us will choose to go through, because we have free will choose to go through that level of transformation. Why? Because there's a death that needs to occur. There's a programmed cell death. And there is a part of us, our protective part, that doesn't want to die. That ego death is too big, too scary. What does that mean? Who do I lose? Well, who would I have to be? Like that is that unknown. Whilst it's known, like it's already there, the blueprint's already there to the small self. It doesn't know that it's going to become that caterpillar. It just sees death. It just sees the letting go. It just sees the surrender. It just sees that whole process too damn scary. And so it stays the same, never realizing, never actually living out its full potential to fly. So it'll stay on the ground its whole life. That is the choice. Now, whether the caterpillar has that conscious choice or not, I don't know. I haven't got inside a caterpillar's psyche to understand that. If anybody can speak with a caterpillar, let me know whether that's the case. But it's interesting because as humans, we see this all the time because our conditioning will pull us back. The stories we tell ourselves, the belief that we hold around, that's not possible for me. I can't do that. The way that fear pulls us back. And I feel like a big part of why I'm here on this planet is to guide and inspire you to go, you can do it. The scary thing, the leap, the shift, the transformation, it's all here for you. It's not out there. Everything is here for you already. So how do you get to know him or her? How do you get to know this future you, this evolved identity? Well, you can start to ask yourself, How would you feel if you knew and you trusted that everything was working out for you? What move would you make if you knew it was a guarantee, your success was guaranteed? What would you do if I was to say, you know what, $1 billion is about to go into your bank account? It's going to take about 7 to 14 days to clear, but it's a given, it's coming, it's inevitable. What would you go after? What would you let go of? What would you say no to? What would you make yourself available for? How would you feel? Like, actually asking yourself that question gives you so much information about why your soul is here, because you will literally choose the things that feel good. You will choose to make the choices that feel good. So, why do we hold ourselves back and wait for the guarantee? Oh, yeah, Amy, if you gave me $1 billion straight away, I'd quit my job. How many people would say I would quit my job? We wait for the evidence before we make a move. We wait for the guarantee. What if life is waiting for you to make the move because you are the evidence? You are all the guarantee that you need. You have everything within you, but you have to choose. You have to choose to embody that future you now because it lives inside of you. You've got to choose to decondition yourself from your old programming and to see that that's a story and a lie. Yes, you signed up for it at the time, but it doesn't serve you anymore. That you're safe to expand, that you're safe to become her. And guess what? There are things that are available for you, like my soul power program, that I want you to see as like the cocoon. It is the safe, held container for you to transform alongside others under the guidance of me, a teacher, a mentor that reminds you of who you are week in, week for 12 weeks. This is your metamorphosis. It doesn't have to be painful. When you choose it from a soul-led place, when you choose to rewire your identity at the root level, this actually gets to be fun. It gets to feel good. And what becomes available to you on the other side, I feel like I don't even need to tell you what becomes available to a butterfly when it can fly. A whole new higher timeline, a whole new level of perspective, more beauty, more color, more magnetism, more abundance than you ever thought was possible. And you get to choose to stay on the ground, to stay in what's familiar. As I said at the beginning of this episode, as I put on that Instagram reel, to keep reinforcing your current reality. Or you can recreate a new one. Will there be growing pains? Sure. But you know what? We are all going through it at any rate. So the choice is no longer stay back and stay small, because the choice is either transform from a conscious place or be transformed, right? Be transformed through things showing up that are going to try and force you. I would much rather do it from a conscious, expansive, open place and choose what's being made available to me now, choose that future identity. So if that speaks to you and you want to come into soul power, you guys, we start in a week's time. We start on June 11, and we have this beautiful group of women. And I'm so excited. I am most excited about this work than I have before in any other work, because this is like it's go time. It's now. And to do this in the 1 year and the fire horse, if this is speaking to you, if this is exciting you, don't hesitate. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Let me know how you found it. Come and visit me on Instagram. Send me an email. Please make sure you share this episode with one person. And I would love it if you could make sure you have tapped that follow and that subscribe button on whatever platform you are listening to this on. I love you so much. Go well. Keep choosing you. And I'll see you soon.